so we'll start off sitting in a comfortable position. And you can either put one foot in front of the other or stack your legs over one of the other. And we'll begin with a little bit of mindful breathing. So just letting your eyes close for a moment and just taking a few breaths to kind of get in touch with your body. And as you breathe, try and feel the air as it comes into your body and see if you can feel how the air creates space in your body. And then as you exhale, see if you can visualize the weight of your arms and your shoulders and your ribs. And then gradually we'll inhale a little bit deeper. So as you inhale, your spine gets a little bit taller. And then as you exhale, tuck your belly button into your spine and up towards your heart. So you kind of hollow out your belly at the bottom. Take 2 more long, slow, deep breaths. And we'll begin linking movement with breath. So inhaling, reaching both hands up over your head. And then exhale, hands down by your sides, reaching your fingertips out. Metering your breath until your lungs are empty and your fingers find the floor, and then pushing out all the air at the bottom so you're fully empty. And then inhale, raising both hands back up towards the ceiling, sipping in a little bit of air at the top. And then long exhale, reaching your fingertips out to the sides until your lungs are empty, fingers find the floor, pushing out all the air at the bottom. Cool. One more time, inhaling, reaching both hands up. And then exhale, folding over at the waist, down into an easy forward fold. So letting your hands walk out in front of you and letting your forehead drop down towards the floor. Taking in a deep breath, long exhale, letting your forehead come down just a little bit deeper. And then slowly walking both hands over to the right side, just about as far as feels comfortable. Taking a deep breath with the long exhale, so you let your body drape over your right thigh. And slowly walking both hands over to the left side, just about as far as feels good. Taking a deep breath and long exhale, draping your body over your left leg. And slowly walking both hands back to the center one last time, letting your forehead come down a little bit closer to the floor. And then slowly walking yourself all the way back up and making your way onto your hands and knees on your mat. So with your fingertips spread wide underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, we're going to come into cat and cow. So inhaling to look up, dropping your belly down towards the floor, and then as you exhale, tuck your chin towards your belly button and pushing your spine up towards the ceiling. And going at your own breath here, so not following my cues, but inhaling to look up and exhaling to look down, and try and feel each vertebrae along your spine sliding over the other as you warm up and loosen all the muscles in your back. We'll take 1 or 2 more passes up and down. And then we'll meet in a nice neutral spine. And pushing your heart away from the floor, we're going to reach your right arm out in front of you and push your left heel straight back behind you. Keeping your belly button tight into your spine, taking a deep breath. And on the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. Inhale to extend, reaching out. Exhale to connect, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. One more time, making the connection. One more time, extending out. And coming back onto all fours. Moment to resettle and reach your left arm out in front of you, pushing your right heel straight back away from you. Keeping your belly button tucked tight into your spine. On the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. Inhale to extend, reaching out. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. One more time, making the connection. One more time, reaching out. And coming back onto all fours. Spreading your fingertips wide on the ground. We're going to curl under your toes on the mat and come to first downward dog of the day. So pressing your fingertips into the floor and reaching your bum up towards the ceiling for the first downward dog. You can kind of create a little bit of organic movement. So maybe pedaling your heels or maybe rolling your hips, shaking your head loose, kind of doing whatever you need to do to get in touch with your body. We'll hold here for 2 more breaths. Then on the exhale, walking your feet towards your hands. We all find ourselves into a nice, easy forward fold, letting your head and your arms hang down heavy towards the floor. Creating a little movement in your hips, like you're just wiggling your butt side to side. Then bending at the knees, scooping your tailbone underneath you, curling one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to standing. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale, hands down by your sides. Cool. Inhale, raising both hands up. Exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. And then exhale, walking yourself out into your plank. And for the first chaturanga, we'll lower down knees, chest and chin, keeping your elbows tight into your sides. And then pulling your heart up into baby cobra. So your palms are still on the floor and your elbows are tight into your ribs. And you're pressing the tops of your feet into the floor as you raise your heart up off the mat. Taking a deep breath. And then on the exhale, pushing off your hands and knees all the way back into child's pose. Just creating a little tent with your fingers, so pressing your fingertips into the mat and gently driving down your bum towards your heels. Curling into your toes, we'll come back into your downward facing dog. And holding this downward dog with a little bit more intention. So trying to push your heels down to the floor behind you, the backs of your knees to the world behind you, and your tailbone up towards the ceiling. We'll hold here for 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. Looking in between your hands, walking your feet forwards, back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, coming all the way to standing, raising both hands up over your head. And exhale, hands down by your sides. One more sun salutation. Inhale, raising both hands up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthening out along your spine. Exhale out into your plank and chaturanga. High to low push-up. Inhale into your upward dog, or you can stick with baby cobra if that feels a little bit better for you. And then curl over your toes into downward dog. And you hold here for 5 breaths. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely, and all the while gently pushing your heels down to the floor behind you. On the 5th exhale, looking in between your hands. Walk or jump, feet back towards the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. Inhale, coming all the way to standing, raising both hands up to the sky. And exhale, hands down by your sides. Again, inhale, raising both hands up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen out through your spine. Exhale out into your plank in whichever form of chaturanga you prefer, knees, chest, chin, or hat roll push-up. Inhale into your upward dog. And exhale into your downward dog. Well, from here, we're going to raise your right heel all the way up behind you, pushing your right heel as high to the ceiling as you can. And then opening up the hips to drop your right heel down towards your bum. From here, we're going to step your right foot in between your hands for a low lunge and pausing there for a moment, giving a little rock front and back to open up your left hip flexor. Then dropping your back heel down to the mat at about a 45-degree angle. Inhale, lengthen out through your spine and floating all the way up into your warrior one. So gently pulling your right hip back, left hip forwards. And as you reach your pinkies up, you're kind of pulling your heart forwards in between your shoulder blades. And opening up into your warrior two, reaching both hands out in either direction. Just taking a moment to see that the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. And then driving that front knee forwards just a little bit deeper. As you reach your fingertips further away from you, your shoulders naturally come down away from your ears. Dropping your back hand to your back leg, reaching your top arm over your head behind you. As you drive your right knee forwards just a little bit deeper. And then on an exhale, bring your right elbow to your right knee, reaching your left arm out over your head, and rolling your left shoulder blade over the right so your heart looks up towards the ceiling. Taking the gaze down towards your toes, we're going to reach your bottom arm underneath, grabbing onto your big old ball of joy. Extend it up to the ceiling and towards the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room as far forwards as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheel both hands down, either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into your plank and chaturanga. High to low push-up. Inhale into your upward dog. And exhale into your downward dog. Good. Raising your left heel all the way up behind you, as high towards the ceiling as you can before opening up at the hips. Drop your left heel down towards your bum. And then stepping your left foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. Pausing there for a moment, giving a little rock front and back. Opening up your right hip flexor. And then dropping your back heel down to the mat at about a 45-degree angle. Inhale, lengthen through the spine and float all the way up into your warrior one. So pushing the outside edge of your back foot into the floor, all the while trying to draw that right hip forwards. Pull your left hip back, so you're kind of like squeezing from your glute med on the right side. Good. Opening up into your warrior two, reaching both hands out in either direction. Just take a moment to see that the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot, and then driving your left knee forwards just a little bit deeper. Taking the gaze over your left fingertips. Two more breaths here. Dropping your back hand to your back leg, reaching your top arm over your head behind you. And then on an exhale, bring your left elbow to your left knee, reaching your right arm over your head and towards the front of the room, and then rolling your right shoulder blade over the left so your heart looks up towards the ceiling. Taking the gaze down towards your toes. You're going to reach your bottom arm underneath. Grabbing onto your big old ball of joy, extend it up towards the ceiling and to the back of the room. Reaching it towards the front of the room as far forwards as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheel both hands down, either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into your plank and chaturanga, high to low push-up. Inhale into your upward dog. And exhale into your downward dog. Just pausing for a moment to see the difference, feel the difference between this downward dog and the first downward dog you did today. Look in between your hands, walk or jump forwards, back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head. Exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. Inhale, coming all the way to standing, raising both hands up. Exhale, hands down by your sides. Cool. So bringing your big toes together with a little space in between your heels. We're going to inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And exhale, folding down over at the waist, down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through your spine, so you're flattening your back. And then exhale, bending at the knees until you can rest your torso on your thighs. From here, we're going to float all the way up into your chair pose, keeping your elbows drawing in towards your head and your shoulders drawing down away from your ears, and your core really strong. So you're keeping that belly button tucked in tight towards your spine. We're going to bring both hands into a prayer in front of your heart, and we're going to hook your right elbow over your left knee. So pressing that right elbow into your left knee and then pressing your palms together so your thumb is in line with your heart. You're going to take the gaze down towards your toes, lifting up your right heel off the floor, and slide that right foot back into a reverse lunge, holding on to that prayer. And keeping your back leg really strong and really straight. We're going to slowly rotate to center, bring both hands up over your head into a high lunge. Deep breath in, and then long exhale. Let both hands float all the way down to the mat, either side of your front foot. And then we'll step your back foot forwards about 2 feet and prepare for an intense leg stretch. So straightening both legs. We're going to inhale, lengthen out through your spine, flattening your back. And then exhale, fold down over your left leg. And we'll hold here for a few breaths, just gently pulling your right hip forwards and left hip back. And letting your head be as heavy as it can be. Slowly transitioning all the weight into your front foot. You're going to walk your fingertips forwards until your back heel is floating up towards the ceiling, just as high as can be. And your forehead is trying to touch your left kneecap, or needle pose. So raising that right heel up just a little bit higher, and you're squeezing from the right butt cheek. 2 more breaths here. We'll slowly lower down, right foot behind the left until your pinky toes are touching. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. And then exhale, fold down a little bit deeper. As you settle into your sciatic stretch, using the support of the floor or your legs to kind of find that point where as you inhale, the stretch feels a little bit deeper and really juicy and good, but nothing hurts. Keeping your head hanging down heavy, we're going to slide your hands up your legs. Interlace your fingers behind your back and pulling your knuckles up to the ceiling and then over your head towards the front of the room. And then leading with the heart to float all the way up to standing and pulling your knuckles down to the floor behind you. You can release your hands. You're going to draw your right foot up into tree pose. So tree pose can either be heel against an ankle, arch of your foot against your calf, or all the way up into your inner thigh. Once you find your tree, bring your hands into a prayer in front of your heart and focus your gaze on your drishti, that point that doesn't move. And the leg that's doing the standing, you're really pushing it down into the floor, so you're creating more length through your spine to make you just a little bit taller. Opening up the branches of your tree and sinking your shoulders down away from your ears. And then from here, we're going to transition into Warrior 3. So pushing your right heel straight back away from you and folding over at the waist. And imagine that you're standing on the wall behind you. So your back foot is flexed. And you're pushing your heel as far back behind you as you're reaching your fingertips forwards. And then to come out of it, squeeze from the hamstring to come all the way back to standing. And hands and feet come back down towards the mat. Cool. Take a second to pedal out your toes. Wiggle your hips. Shake your hands. Open up your heart center. And we'll bring your big toes together. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen along your spine, flattening your back, and then bending at the knees until you can rest your torso on your thighs, and then floating all the way up into your chair pose. Keeping your knees drawing towards each other, and your core really strong and very engaged. Bring your hands into a prayer in front of your heart. And then we're going to hook your left elbow over your right knee. So pressing those palms together so your thumb are in line with your heart. And then taking the gaze down towards your toes. And lift your left heel up off the mat. And then slide that left foot back into your lunge, still holding on to your spinal twist. Keeping that back leg very strong, very straight. You're going to slowly rotate to center, inhaling both hands up over your head into your high lunge. And then on an exhale, bring both hands down either side of your front foot. And we'll step your back foot forwards about 2 feet. And straighten both legs for intense leg stretch. So inhale, lengthen out through your spine. And then exhale to fold down over your right leg. And with each exhaling breath, just try and let your upper body be as heavy as it can be. Hold here for 3 more breaths. And then slowly transitioning all the way to your front foot until your back heel floats up towards the ceiling as high as you can for a needle pose. So pushing out through your left heel like you're standing on the ceiling. And try and kiss your right kneecap. Raise that left leg up just a little bit higher for a little bit longer. Then slowly lowering down left foot behind the right until your pinky toes are touching. Inhale, lengthen along your spine. And then exhale, folding down into your sciatic stretch. As you settle into the sciatic stretch, just again bring your attention back to your breath. So inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Sliding your hands up your legs, you're going to interlace your fingers behind your back, pulling your knuckles up to the ceiling and then over your head towards the front of the room. Leading with the heart to float all the way up to standing and pulling your knuckles down to the floor behind you. You can release your hands and we'll draw your left foot up into tree pose. So finding your variation of tree that works for you. And once you find your position, bring your hands into a prayer in front of your heart and focus your gaze on your drishti. Just gradually opening up your arms, sinking your shoulders down away from your ears. And then transitioning into warrior three. Pushing your left heel straight back behind you and folding over at the waist, reaching your hands out in front of you. With that back foot flexed like you're standing on the wall. And then when you decide to come out of it, squeeze from the hamstring to float back up to standing. Exhale, hands and feet back down towards the mat. Take a second to dance out whatever you need to dance out. We'll stand front and center on your mat. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen along your spine. Exhale, walk yourself out into your plank and pause at the high plank. Cool, so from here we're going to plant your left hand in the center of the mat and roll all the way over onto your left side and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. If this feels really hard, you can plant your right foot on the mat to kind of give you a little bit more support, or you can stack your feet. If you want to make it even harder, raise your right foot up off the ground like you're a flying starfish. 2 more breaths here, no matter where you are. And then slowly bring that right hand back down to the floor and switching sides. So right hand goes in the center of the mat, rolling over onto your side, reaching your left arm up towards the ceiling, and then putting your feet wherever is right for you today. Holding here for 2 more breaths. Slowly bring both hands back down to the mat and rocking over your toes back into your downward facing dog. We're going to raise your right heel all the way up behind you. Float your right knee to your right elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment. Send your right leg straight back up behind you. Bring your right knee to your left elbow, crossing under your midline. Send your leg straight back up behind you. Bring your knee to your nose. Try and kiss your kneecap. Send it straight back up behind you. And then folding your right leg through into pigeon pose. So right knee goes behind your right wrist. Right ankle's trying to get behind your left wrist. And then wiggle your left foot back so it's more or less center on the mat. Once you find your pigeon position, inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then exhale, walking yourself down to let your forehead rest on either the floor or a pillow, or you can stack your hands. But the object here is to let your upper body soften and be as heavy as can be on the floor for the next few moments. We'll hold here for 3 more breaths. As you exhale, just let your upper body be as heavy as can be. Whenever you're ready, we're going to slowly walk yourself back up. Pausing for a moment at the top. Giving a look over one shoulder for a gentle spinal twist. Take a look over the other shoulder. Make your way all the way back into your downward facing dog, taking your time to get there. And just kind of feeling the difference from one side to the other after doing that little pigeon sequence. Raising your left heel all the way up behind you. You're going to float your left knee to your left elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your left knee to your right elbow, crossing under your midline. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your knee to your nose. Try and kiss your kneecap. Send it straight back up behind you. And then folding your left leg through into pigeon pose. So once your front leg is situated, we're going to wiggle that back foot back so your hips get close down towards the floor. Once you find your pigeon, we're going to inhale, lengthen through your spine, and then exhale to walk yourself down to let your forehead rest on the floor, or pillow, or your hands. And again, we'll take the next few minutes to just see how heavy you can let your body be. And while you're breathing, see if you can visualize whatever part of your body is providing resistance. And imagine it just softening and melting with each exhaling breath. And hold here for 3 more breaths. And whenever you're ready, we're going to slowly walk yourself back up. Pausing for a moment at the top. Give a look over one shoulder, gentle spinal twist. Look over your other. And then coming back to center, we're going to roll over onto your left bum cheek and bring your right leg all the way around in front of you. Until you're sitting on kind of the front edge of your mat, you're going to move the muscle out of the way until you can find those sits bones firmly on the floor. And pushing your heels away from you and the backs of your knees down into the floor. In the inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then exhale to fold to grab onto your toes and let your forehead drop down towards your knees. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. As you exhale, just try and let your upper body be as heavy as can be. And if you want to make the stretch a little bit deeper, think about squeezing the top part of your legs to push the back of your knees into the floor. We'll hold here for 3 more breaths. And reaching your hands out just a little bit further from where they are, coming all the way back up. Bring your hands down by your sides, and we'll make your way into laying flat on your back on the mat. Hugging both knees into your chest and give them a little rock from side to side. Or maybe in a circle. If you find any sore spots in your back, you can pause there and kind of massage them a little bit against the floor. And then grabbing onto the outside edges of your feet, we're going to come into happy baby. So you're just kind of gently pulling your knees down into your armpits or to either side of the floor, and you can rock around. And this is one of those stretches where you can definitely move around as much as you want, or make it as still and serious as you want. But most of the time, happy babies tend to roll around a lot. So we'll do a little bit more organic movement. Rolling around, having fun. And then eventually making your way onto your back again, hugging both knees into your chest. And then straightening out your right leg along the floor. With your right hand, we're going to pull your left knee across your body into a spinal twist and reaching your left arm out to the side. We'll stay here for the next few breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling completely, and just trying to let your limbs be as heavy as can be. Staying here for about 2 more breaths. Whenever you're ready, slowly making your way onto your back, hugging both knees into your chest. The same thing on the other side. Straightening out your left leg along the floor, and with your left hand pulling your right knee across your body and reaching your right arm out to the side. Inhale deeply and exhale completely, and as you exhale, just try and let your arm and your leg be as heavy as can be. And then slowly making your way onto your back again. One last time, hugging both knees into your chest. Give a little rock side to side. Tucking your forehead up into your knees, making your body like a little itty bitty seed. And then straightening out your arms and legs into your Shavasana pose. We'll take the next few moments to rest in stillness and silence as you're taking the full effects of your yoga practice. And as you lay in your Shavasana, just see if you can observe your body in a state of rest. And slowly wiggling your fingers and your toes to gradually bring movement back into your body. At your own pace, draw your knees into your chest. Roll over onto your side and push yourself up into a comfortable sitting position. Letting your hands rest on your lap and your eyes closed. We find ourselves how we began today's yoga practice. Taking a moment to just observe your breath, the depth of your breath and the quality of your breath, and just seeing any changes that might have happened over the last hour. And sending out a silent message of love and peace and patience to everyone out there who could use it today. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale your hands into a prayer in front of your heart. And we'll close with a single heartfelt namaste. Namaste, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me for Wednesday yoga.